So for today, we're going to start into our chapter on section 1. And yesterday, we were talking about our introductory reading. We were talking about the different types of technology that we use to track and monitor asteroids and other large space objects that have the potential to hit Earth. As a reminder, in that introductory reading, your chapter projects are at the end of that. You can also reference the chapter projects in the presentation that we're using today. You do need to pick one of those 3 in order to complete and present to class at the end of the chapter. As a general timeline, I would say you have between 3 to 3.5 weeks to get those projects done, but please don't procrastinate on those because I want you to be able to have the longest amount of time to work on them to be able to get a project that is amazing and awesome. For yesterday's Google Meets, if you did miss it, I have uploaded that to the classroom, and each Google Meet that I upload will have the date that it occurred, and you just click on it, and then you can click on the link, and that'll take you to the YouTube channel and the video for you to watch for the class meeting. For today's presentation, if you click on the material labeled Chapter 1 Presentation and the link in that material, it will bring you to a Prezi Presentation for our chapter, and you can follow along with that. If you're watching the YouTube video, you can just watch on the screen and follow along with that and pause it whenever you need to write your notes. Depending on how many people are accessing this Prezi, it may take a few moments to fully load it. And if it seems to be frozen, just refresh the page and try again. There we go. To make this full screen, you would just click on the arrows here, and that will take your whole screen up. Now, this is your whole chapter. We have our big idea, the chapter projects, and then your 4 sections. The only bubbles that you're going to be able to see things on that I don't have blocked for you is the first 3, the big idea, chapter projects, and section 1. As we progress through the chapter, these sections will become visible to you. So when we look at the chapter projects, as a reminder, you're going to pick one of these 3, any one of these 3, and each bubble has the information that you need about the project itself. So if you need those for reference, you can find those within the presentation. So for the first section, our big idea is some space objects are visible to the human eye. So ever since humans have decided to look skyward, they have been captivated by the sights. From the moon, stars, and planets, the night sky has captivated all cultures and regions of the world. In this section, we will explore how the universe was arranged, how stars form patterns in the sky, and how the motions of bodies in space appear from Earth. So ever since we decided to look up and we noticed the stars, the little balls of light in the sky, and other interesting things within our night sky, we began to be curious and ask questions and then make connections based on things that we had known. So we see a lot of views and beliefs centered around the stars, and we can see a lot of influence, especially from the Greeks and Romans, when we talk about things relating to the sky, such as constellations and names for things as well. So the first part with the patterns in the universe, we can see patterns within it. That's one of the cool, awesome things about life. We can see patterns that exist and occur naturally. So for most of history, people had very limited knowledge of space. They saw planets and stars as points of light in the night sky. However, they did not know how far those bodies were from Earth or from each other. Early observers made guesses about planets and stars on the basis of their appearance and the ways they seemed to move from the sky. Different people around the world connected these patterns they saw in the sky with stories that centralized around their religions or personal beliefs. So, when we talk about constellations, we're going to be looking at some of the most popular constellations within our night sky, and they have some pretty awesome stories relating to their creation and why they're named a certain way. And I really enjoy those stories because it's interesting to see different cultures and viewpoints. And then also, when we talk about our constellations for our quick lab, you're going to be looking up your zodiac sign. And that's going to be one of the constellations that you use for your quick lab that you're going to draw out and punch the holes for. The universe is everything in space, and that includes Earth and everything within space itself. The universe is everything and contains everything in it. In this section, you will explore the basic structures found within the universe. We have Earth, a solar system, the Milky Way, and the universe. So we're looking at ourselves and the things that relate closer to home. Next year, you'll really be exploring out into space. We'll be looking at the theories of the universe, some cool structures, and star related things, and other features out in the universe that we don't see within our little section of the universe. But we'll be looking at the Hubble Space Telescope and the images that it has captured of things in space. The first part with Earth, we should be quite familiar with that. If not, you may be an alien and you have some learning to do about the Earth. And we give the nickname to Earth as the blue marble, and that's because when you view Earth from space, it looks like a marble. It has its blues and greens. You can see the continents and the weather, the clouds and things, and it looks like a true work of art. Our planet's diameter is about 13,000 kilometers or 8,000 miles. This is almost 4 times the diameter of the moon, which orbits Earth. An orbit, which is a very important word that you need to know for this chapter, this is a vocab word, is the path of an object in space as it moves around another object because of gravity. So an orbit is the path an object takes around another object, right? Orbits the object. So Earth is a part of a solar system, and within our solar system, we have, of course, Earth and 7 other major planets that orbit around the sun. The sun, the planets, and various smaller bodies make up the solar system. A solar system is where you have planets and other bodies and objects of space that are orbiting around a star. So our sun is a star, and all the planets and things that are within our solar system orbit around the sun. And our next chapter, we're going to be investigating the different planets and all the things that we can find within our solar system. The sun is about 100 times greater in diameter than Earth. You could fit more than 4,000 bodies the size of the sun between the sun and the solar system's outermost planet at its average distance from the sun. The sun is one of countless stars in space. Astronomers have detected planets orbiting some of these other stars. So there's hundreds upon billions of other star systems out there with planets and other objects that are orbiting around it as well. Now, they're not going to be exactly the same as far as we know as our solar system. Each one is different and has its own characteristics. The Milky Way is the galaxy that we are located in. So our solar system and the stars you see with your bare eyes are part of a galaxy called the Milky Way. A galaxy, which is another vocab word for this chapter, is a group of millions or billions of stars held together by their own gravity. If the solar system were the size of a penny, if we were to shrink it down, the Milky Way itself would stretch from Chicago to Dallas. So it stretched from Illinois all the way down to Texas. Most stars in the Milky Way are so far away that our galaxy appears to us as a hazy band of light. And you could actually see uh, all kinds of stars and parts of the Milky Way when you go out west or someplace that has no lights. So whenever we have lights on, especially in cities and towns, it's very hard to see the night sky because of a thing called light pollution. The brightness of lights causes your eyes to not be able to see the night sky as well. So when we take pictures and video and things of the night sky, we are typically in areas where there is no light whatsoever so that we can get the clearest picture. And last but not least, we have the universe. And again, the universe, which is also a vocab word, is everything, space, and all matter and energy in it. The Milky Way is just one of many billions of galaxies in the universe. These galaxies extend in all directions. This image is very special. This is a rendering of the entire visible universe. So we are somewhere in this picture, not sure exactly where, but we have the technology to reach out to great distances. And with that technology, we're able to get this sort of shape, and we're able to map everything within everything, if not most, if not everything of all space objects within this visible known universe, but we're still exploring and learning new things about space. It's one of the final frontiers where we have a lot to learn. A constellation is a group of stars that form a pattern in the sky. If you've ever went outside and you looked up in the night sky, you may notice that some stars seem to make shapes. The most common one that you may be familiar with is the Big Dipper or Little Dipper. And those are the spoons or ladles in the sky. And one of them points to the North Star or Polaris. In the constellation Cygnus, which is another one, for example, a group of bright stars form the shape of a flying swan. Any other objects in the area of the sky, such as galaxies, are said to be located in Cygnus, even if they are not part to this one pattern. The ancient Greeks named many of the constellations for animals and people from their lore and beliefs. In addition, the constellations, they relate to things called the zodiac. We have Chinese astrology and other types of astrology that have constellations that actually sync up to those. And we're going to be exploring those in more detail in the next part of this. So unlike the planets in the solar system, the stars in a constellation are usually not really close to each other. They seem to be grouped together when viewed from Earth, but as the illustration you're reading will show, you would not see the same pattern in the stars who view them from another angle. So this is known as a parallax. You don't need to remember that word. We talk more about that later in your middle school career. But with a parallax, it's based on your location in viewing of an object. So if you sit in a room, if you sit down in a chair and you look around the room from one side, you may notice various things around your room, maybe a lamp or a book on a desk. But then if you move to somewhere else in the room, you may notice other things that were blocked by the lamp or blocked by the book or something else entirely different. So with this parallax, it depends on where you're at, the angle, in order to be able to view different things. So from Earth, we can see these shapes and they look really close together. But if we move away from Earth and find those star systems, then we start to see that they are further apart than what we first originally anticipated. Astrological signs, the constellations are used as signs and hold significance in some cultures and beliefs. Astrological signs are given to each person and are dependent on their time of birth from the day, month, and year. Some believe that depending on when a person is born, personality traits appear. So you're going to ask yourself, what's your sign and do they fit your personality? The reason why we're covering astrological signs for this, it's not a major part of the chapter, but it plays into our quick lab for our constellation activity, and we get to explore some of the stories and some other things and things that relate to how stars and space related things have really impacted um, human culture. So here we have your dates and your signs. You can pause this video at any time to look at this. If you were born March 21st through April 20th, you're an Aries. April 21st to May 20th is a Taurus. May 21st to June 21st is Gemini. June 22nd to July 22nd is Cancer. July 23rd to August 23rd is Leo. August 24th to September 23rd is Virgo. And then September 24th to October 23rd is Libra. October 24th to November 22nd is Scorpio. November 23rd to December 21st is Sagittarius. December 22nd to January 20th is Capricorn. January 21st to February 18th is Aquarius. And then February 19th to March 20th is Pisces. So you would want to find your sign, and in actual class we went through and we read off some of the theoretical personality traits that each sign had, and we asked ourselves, did we actually fit that personality type? And some of you said, well, that doesn't sound like me, but when you heard another sign, you're like, that sounds more like me. I want you to realize that they're just generalizations. There isn't any true scientific fact about these personalities matching up with your signs, but it's still a fun concept to see. And these astrological signs, we will be using them for our Constellation Lab. So I want you to still know in general what your sign is. So you can jot that down in your notes. And that way, when we look at constellations, you'll be able to find those. Next week, we'll be doing our Constellation Lab. So what you're going to need is a sheet of paper. Black is preferred. If not, you need to make sure that the paper is thick. So cardstock will work nice. And you wouldn't want to use a really thin piece of paper, like tissue paper won't work. Notebook paper may work, but it may let some light through the paper that will affect what your constellation paper will show. You'll need a pencil, a ruler. I will provide you with a map of the stars, and then you'll need a toothpick or a thumbtack, and you'll have an adult poke the holes in the paper so you'll be able to use that. And I'll explain exactly what we're doing once we get to that lab next week. If we are virtual for meetings next week, as a reminder, you do not have school Monday, but then we'll resume our normal virtual meeting schedules. Tuesday, Thursdays are for you to pop into the meeting space if you have any questions about a homework assignment or project. You don't need to stay for the entire meeting time. You can just pop in, ask your question, and leave. That's perfectly fine. But then on Wednesday and Friday, you will be in a regular Google Meet session. If we're virtual past next week, then Monday, Wednesday, Fridays are Google Class Meets, and then the Tuesday, Thursday are the question pop in if you need me type situation. Next week, you'll also notice that you'll have an additional assignment with your section assignment for your daily prompts. I'll explain those more in detail on Wednesday so that you can get those finished. You'll be reading a short article and answering a question about that article for each day. When we're in school, we'll have a mix of articles and videos for you to watch. But I hope to see you either in school or in the Google Meets. Stay safe and have a good Labor Day weekend.